So,
H.G. Wells.
contentious.
So here's the thing about H.G. Wells. I think he has like a split personality or something. There's two types of books that you can get from H.G. Wells. I'll go ahead and give him this.
You get War of the Worlds.
Well, I don't have the gutter loaded up. So here's the thing, right? He has his sci-fi stuff. We reviewed War of the Worlds in the show before. I said it was trash. Like, I said it was just awful. But then we reviewed The Wife of Sir Isaac Harmon, and I thought it was delightful. I think when he's doing his sci-fi stuff, which, to be honest, is kind of what he's known for, and it was a bit more groundbreaking, I guess, I don't like it. The other half of his oeuvre, he's trying to be Dickens, and it's fantastic.
I mean, I did read maybe like the first quarter of Time Machine, and I thought it seems pretty interesting, just a bit slow. But that was 15 years ago. I don't remember any of it since then. I'd be curious about like Invisible Man.
That's another. He's got a few famous ones like that, right?
Yeah.
Did he also do Is it the Island of Dr. Moreau? Was that also him?
He did a Dr. lot. Caligari, like
he did. Well,
I have no idea.
A lot of good ones or famous ones, but look, I'll tell you why I like Kipps. We start with this poor chap.
Yay!
He's orphan boy living with his like aunt and uncle or something. So already it's got the Dickens thing. Ignorant sort of Victorian little boy, you know.
Another plus. Yeah.
Getting kind of picked on, fighting with like the butcher's apprentice in the street. You know, this kind of stuff. Very, very Dickens. Very Victorian. Aunt and uncle, like not bad to him, but not that close with him either. You know. He gets by all right. Goes to a school. Of course, it's like a really bad school. Like, again, very Dickensian. They like to not treat the boys very well and stuff like that. So it's some bits of it are very typical. So the best part of this book is the first bit, because the first bit, it's just like reading a lost Dickens. That doesn't stay for long, but the book is still good. So there's a girl he likes. It's his friends. He makes a friend. And he really likes his friend's sister. I think she's called Anne. And they break a coin in half, and they keep half of the coin, and then Anne has to go off somewhere, you know, to the continent or something. And this is supposed to be like a symbol that they are together. But they're like 10 or something, so it doesn't really mean anything. But he's supposed to get with Anne, and that's always been the plan. Then...
Nice rhyme.
Cancel the show.
Now you're doing the rhyming couplets.
The whole show in rhyming couplets. So he goes to take a woodworking class, and he meets another lady. And he falls in love with her. She's kind of like a cousin of an earl, but the family themselves aren't well off. But they're a bit above his station. And he hangs around with them a little bit. He likes her, but it's unsure whether her mother will let him, you know, marry him or whatever. Then the most surprising thing happens. He gets left a lot of money. 26,000, which is a lot of money back then.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, wow, I'm incredibly rich. Some old, like, uncle or granddad, you know, left him the money. He'd never met the guy or whatever. So he's like, oh my god, he didn't even know who it was for. And he's like, are you sure this is for me? Like, well, you're the only Kipps that I know. Like, his uncle thinks like, oh, you stupid boy, this has been a ruse. Someone, he works in like a shop where they don't treat him well either. And they're like, you've fallen for you've quit your job, or as they say, you've left your situation. They use situation to mean job in the Victorian novels, and it's a bit weird.
Okay.
Like, you've left your situation, and I can't believe you would fall for such a ruse, you stupid boy. Here's an idea of how the shop worked, by the way. The shop was called an emporium, because of course.
Oh, lovely.
Folkestone was not so interesting on Sundays as on weekdays, because the shops were shut. But on the other hand, there was a confusing brilliance among the front of the lease in the afternoon. Sometimes the apprentice next above him would condescend to go with him. But when the apprentice next but one above condescended to go with the apprentice next above him, then Kipps, being habited as yet in ready-made clothes without tails, and unsuitable therefore to appear in such company, went alone. It's very Dickens and Thackeray, you know. So it's like, yeah, the boy one position above might condescend to go with me, but if the boy above him wants to go, then he goes with him, and then I have to go alone because I don't have nice clothes. So that's the kind of vibe. But he gets left the money, so he quits the job. Here's the problem with this book. It's forgettable for one reason. There's no villain. There's no menace.
Oh,
everyone is
no
nice. No. And even when he gets
the family would be, right? Or no?
No. They end up being happy for him.
Oh, okay.
He gets the money and they're like, well, this is fantastic. And they're good. And then you think, well, all his work colleagues are going to turn on him when he gets... And people keep warning him. People will be out for that money. Be careful of your solicitor. Be careful of your old friends. But everyone's nice to him.
So
they toast to him.
Conflict is the potential conflict in the future? Like, what's the driving plot in this, then?
There's one plot event. So
there is no plot, then.
This book is very much character-based. Without plot, necessarily. The only real plot event is he's supposed to get engaged to this girl. They do get engaged. He says, look, I'm going to let you down. I can't speak properly. There's a whole several-page scene where she teaches him not to drop his H's and to say has instead of as, and this kind of stuff, because he doesn't pronounce things properly. And then Anne comes back, the friend's sister that he liked. And he says to Anne, I think I still like you. And she says, well, you're engaged. And he says, I think I'm getting above my station. He feels lost. And he's like, I can't go with this woman because she's trying to turn me into something I'm not, just trying to make me more upper class or whatever. So he runs off and marries Anne. And the family, fall out with him. And that's the plot event. But the family still aren't that... They're a wee bit hostile, of course, for a while, but they don't go after him. Nothing happens. So essentially we have a very nice gentleman who feels a bit lost and needs to choose between two girls. But the two girls are both nice.
Okay.
Now, Anne is more lower class. So, of course... Right, here's the real problem. The one girl is above his station. She raises him up a little bit, so now when he dates a girl at his own station, he feels above her. And he gets annoyed when Anne answers the door to friends in her house clothes while she's cleaning or something, and he wants her to have servants, but she won't take them. And they want to live in a very small house, but the architect and the uncle convince him that he needs 11 bedrooms and servants and all this stuff and a shrubbery because he's rich now,
A shrubbery?
They cut down the mightiest tree in the forest with a herring. Icky fitang. But what happens is... Zibang bawa. What happens is... also that. So...
That time.
But it's tricky because there's no conflict, So it's like, you had two choices, you made one. None of them were bad, per se. I think he doesn't treat Anne that well in the end because she says, I don't want people to look down on you and think that I have lowered you and that you would have done better with that Earl's cousin. And you feel a bit sorry for Anne, and he's mean to her once or twice. But then they make it up. There's nothing bad happening in the book, really. People make mistakes, they're human, okay. But they always kind of make it up and everything's fine. Second plot event. He loses all the money.
Okay.
Because the solicitor screwed him over.
Sure.
But we don't even see that happen. The solicitor never appears again. They're just like, oh yeah, you got screwed over. Well, okay. He loses all the money. And then he gains it back again. So...
Somehow.
Well, technically he gains different money. But... He's a very nice guy. He helps people. He helps, I'll help your brother set up a business. I'll help you write your plays. I'll do this and I'll do that. I'll help open a bookshop. He's a very nice guy. But it's just him. It's his ups and downs. But it kind of all works out nicely. There's the only moment of fear is when he and Anne try to live a better life than they would have done and then lose the money and realise they won't. And then you feel a bit bad because Anne's like, how do we survive? And it's like, oh, hold on. You're the one who was poor a minute ago and didn't want the fancy house and everything. So you got to just go back to work, which is what you would have done anyway. But then it's fine because they get money again. So it's a nice story, but if you want a lot of plot, if you want some kind of danger, if you want an antagonist, you're not really going to get that. So as I say, even the family are happy. When he's going to get married, they're thrilled. So I thought they were going to be the villain, and then they're not. And he has a friend who he goes around with, Kut, and you think, oh, Kut's going to be a bad guy. No, he's not. Now, there's a little bit of him getting corrupted. He starts drinking a little bit and stuff,
Okay.
Of course, he's come into a lot of money. He's idle. I mean, there's one point where he says to his wife, what am I going to do today? Just, guess you better go for a walk. And he says, I've already gone for a walk. Guess I better go for another one. Because they've got nothing to do. And they're not used to an idle lifestyle because they were hard-working people.
Yeah.
They're lower-class people. And he has, like, these books that he'll use, like The Art of Conversation. And that's all he knows is, like, he's trying so hard to converse with people and to be upper middle class or upper class. And he's getting it wrong.
But he's just nouveau riche and doesn't know how to act.
Yeah. And he goes to a restaurant at one point on his own and thinks everyone's looking at him. He's making a mess. He spills something on his shirt and his food slides on the floor. He's so going red. And he's like, these horrible people. People aren't even doing anything wrong. Maybe they're snickering at him by the end. But I think they would have left him alone if he hadn't been so worried and so conspicuous. But he feels conspicuous in his fancy clothes and everything, you know. So you kind of feel sorry for him there. But it's fine, you know. And there's a funny part where he's going to get married. He's like, well, there's nothing in the Art of Conversation about how to do the proposal. Like, he doesn't know anything else, you know. And he's like, do I have to get her a ring? In the end, he does his friend, like, send her a ring. Like, he doesn't even know what's going on, you know.
You have a servant for that. That's, when you're rich, that's all you have.
But it's a fun book. It's a nice book. There's some very nice illustrations in it as well. And other than the fact that there's no real threat, I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's fun. It's nice. I'll show you an example of the type of illustration. So it's this kind of similar style that you would get in like Victorian books.
Nice with good top hats, dresses.
Yeah. Very busy pictures of lots of like Victorian Londoners.
Rich Victorian Londoners.
Yes.
No slums.
No. But I have nothing bad to say about the book. I just wonder if I'll remember it in a year's time.
Probably not.
That's
Knowing your memory as well, definitely not.
Right. But some books I remember. But yeah.
Like... What did you read last month? Can you name one book?